Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back. Kellen here with Droid Life. Time to do a quick comparison of our Note devices that are in-house. Brand new Galaxy Note 5 here on the left. Last year's Galaxy Note 4 over here on the right. So we unboxed the device, the Note 5 that is. In case you missed that, be sure to watch that. What we're going to do now, though, is just kind of do a quick hardware comparison. Just talk sort of a first impression feel of each in hand. I know a lot of you have the Note 4, maybe even the Note 3, and you're wondering if the Note 5 is a good option. So we just want to talk through some of the differences here to help you guys get there. So the most noticeable thing I would say when holding it in hand, obviously the look is similar, but it's still quite different. The Note 5 just feels slimmer in hand, fits nicer in hand. So Samsung rounded off these back edges. So when you hold it in hand, it actually sort of blends right into your palm a little bit and your grip. It just sort of makes it easier to hold. The Note 4 does have some roundedness to it as well, but it just feels a little bit thicker, not quite as tight of a package. So it definitely feels wider and thicker in hand than the Note 5. The Note 5 actually has a really good in-hand feel, as surprising as that may be for a phone this big. The other thing you'll notice, just looking at them straight on, is the lack of bezel here on the Note 5. Look at the side bezel over here. It's kind of crazy how slim Samsung was able to make it. And not that the Note 4 has thick, wide, obnoxious bezel. It's still pretty slim over here, but Samsung really did a nice job here on the Note 5 of that. You can just see the differences there. So that's one. The top and bottom areas, the Note 5s appear to me, at least to my eye, to be a little bit slimmer as well. So the overall package here, just tighter, slimmer, feels better in hand in the Note 5, assuming you can get used to that glass back. If we talk other stuff, on the front we obviously have physical home buttons and then flanked by back and app switchers. The fingerprint sensor here on the Note 5, obviously much improved over the Note 4s. It's just like the Galaxy S6s and is super fast. So that's an upgrade as well. This also has the double tap to launch the camera. Note 5, not so much. So it does have that shortcut as well, which is, I don't want to call it a game-changing shortcut because it seems so silly that something like that hasn't been embedded for longer, but it really is a big deal if you like taking quick, fast pictures. So cameras up top, you do have a 5 megapixel shooter up top on the Note 5 and a 3.7 shooter on the Note 4. So a little bit higher resolution there, camera. If we take a tour of the outside, so up top on the Note 4, you'll notice that big protruding headphone jack. You don't have that on the Note 5. So they did swap that. You also do have the IR blaster up top there on the Note 4. No IR blaster any longer on the Note 5. Just kind of disappointed, some of you have noticed. So volume rocker here on the left side. You actually have two separate buttons on the Note 5, and it's sort of a single big rocker here on the Note 4. Power lock switches on the same side over here on the right. And if we get down to the bottom, things are definitely different. So you'll notice on the bottom of the Note 4, you have micro USB port and then your S Pen. On the Note 5, you have S Pen, speaker, micro USB, and headphone jack. So they've crammed a lot down there on the Note 5. Again, it's just like the S6 design, except it also has an S Pen down there. So Note 4 had that speaker on the back right there. Now it's on the bottom. I'd say I prefer it on the bottom just because you have less chance of maybe covering it up on the back, maybe a better sound experience, but to each his own. So then the other big thing here is that S Pen. So set the Note 5 down for a second. So with the S Pen on the Note 4, it's definitely a protruding tip here. So you'll notice it from just about any angle. Even holding it, you'll notice that it is definitely sticking out. And to eject it, you grab it with your finger and pull it out like that. On the Note 5, completely different experience. So they tried to make it mostly flush. Now, if you run your finger over there, you can touch it. But to get it out, it's no longer a finger pull. It's actually a button, and you pop it, and then it pops the little end nub out, and then you slide. And then you slide out from there. And so it does sort of stay a little more embedded, and that is how you get it out. Hopefully, it lasts through a whole bunch of those clicks and won't wear out over time. So that's the bottom area. On the back, definitely some differences. So it's that Galaxy S6 glass and metal combination here on the the Note 5. So you have that sort of reflective black sapphire backside that's all glass, and obviously a fingerprint magnet. I did just clean that before the video, so just so you're aware. With the Note 4, you have that sort of faux leather plastic back. Completely different looks. But some may prefer the faux leather because it might be substantially more durable than a black back glass back. 16 megapixel cameras on each. Smart OIS over here on the Note 4. I think more traditional OIS is what I would call it here on the Note 5. Heart rate sensors and flashes as well. 3,000 milliamp hour battery here on the Note 5, embedded, non-removable. Again, it does have wireless charging. Well, I don't know if I mentioned that. Wireless charging, fast wireless charging in there. Also supports quick charge and fast charging through the USB port down at the bottom. But again, no removable battery, and it's 3,000 milliamp hour. On the Note 4, you have a removable back, a removable battery, and a micro SD card slot. Note 5 also doesn't have that micro SD card slot. So removable battery, which is also 3220 milliamp hour. So slightly bigger in the Note 4, removable, all that again. So a lot of you have really expressed disappointment in the fact that the Note 5 no longer has a removable battery or SD card slot, and also the fact that the battery is slightly smaller. So you're kind of worried potentially about battery life, and we'll definitely get to that battery life testing. So that's kind of a hardware tour difference. Obviously, the Note 4 is still a metal frame, and it just has that removable plastic back. It's still a really, really well-built phone. This was one of Samsung's first metal designs, and it's still a really, really nice phone in hand. There's just something really premium feeling about the Note 5 and that glass and that curve to the backside. It feels great. It looks great. So let's see. In terms of software, obviously they're running different versions of TouchWiz. I believe my Note 4 here from AT&T has at least a couple of updates, but AT&T is terrible and will not send updates to it if I don't have a SIM card in there. But TouchWiz hasn't necessarily changed even in new updates. It is running Lollipop. But you can see the skin's different there. A lot of the icons are a lot more bubbly here on the Note 5. The TouchWiz experience in general isn't going to change much. You can see even though this is 5.1.1 and this is 5.0.1 or .2, it still pretty much looks the same. Even if we jump into settings, you'll see mostly the same, kind of that same experience there. One thing that is different though in terms of software is the S Pen experience. So if we pop this out here on the Note 4 and we'll eject this one here on the Note 5. So when you pull pens out, you do get that Air Command. And so Air Command on the Note 4, this is what it looks like here. It's sort of a button with that rotating option. With the Note 5, it's sort of a button that floats and then displays over this sort of blurred background effect your options. So a little bit different there. And then there's some new options like custom shortcuts and things like that in Air Command and just some other differences there. One of the things that I showed you in the unboxing is when you have the S Pen in and screen off, you can pop it out and it will then let you draw on the black screen and save that note. So it's one of the quickest ways you'll find to take a note. That feature is not on the Note 4. And that may be one of those features that is a big deal. In terms of the actual S Pen, there are subtle differences there. The pen in the Note 5 just looks slightly longer, maybe a little thinner. They both still have those physical buttons. And then obviously the new one has the clickable end. So if you like clicking pens, this is probably the option for you. So that's pretty much that. They both have Air View and they can draw and all of that stuff. So they're pressure sensitive and things like that. You guys know how the S Pen works. There are some other subtle software differences in the Note 5. And we'll get to those in a later video. So that's pretty much it. You've got similar specs, just things have been upgraded in the Note 5. Obviously, it's got a completely different design and build. No removable battery, no micro SD slot. So it's definitely different, but still very familiar if you're coming from one of the other Note phones. I've only spent a short amount of time with it, but I can't imagine you would go wrong with this phone. It really seems like a well-built phone. It's fast. The camera should be amazing. I would be surprised if it's not one of the best, if not the best in the business. Display is gorgeous. So it's up to you. Do you need a removable battery? Do you need a micro SD card slot? Or can you live without that? So anyways, if you have comments, questions, want us to test anything else, we can do that. Droid Life. Peace.